An interrupted race yesterday meant the green flag racing we did get was frantic and intense. But in front of it all, Dashelski finally rose above the rest. Will he be able to do it again? We'll find out soon as we get ready for race 2 in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. It's the last Sprint Challenge race of the weekend here at Road America, Joey.
It is, and we have had a fantastic weekend of racing so far. Let's go ahead and take a look at exactly where we're located, just north of Milwaukee in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, America's National Park of Speed. Just over 4 miles and 14 turns to be exact. Couple of key areas. Turn number 1 definitely gets narrow when we line them up 2 by 2 on the initial green flag. Turn number 5 at the end of the moraine sweep, we've seen some drivers overshoot the brake marker there, so keep an eye on that section. Also, the corner after, turn number 6 seems to be throwing a little bit of a curveball for our competitors here this weekend. The carousel and the kink, some of the best corners that we've got in all of North America. Turn number 12, Canada corner, also a little bit of a problem child here this weekend, and 14 turns rounds out the lap.
And up at the top of it, Danny Dashelski will start on the pole for the second time this weekend. Carl Stout will see if he can rebound from yesterday and retake the win. After that, it is Matt Siegel on the inside of row 2 with Riley Giacomazzi starting from 4th. Then in row 3, Tony Melito starts from the 5th position with Alex Pratt starting in P6. He came off a very good race in USA West this morning. Mark Bowden, who won yesterday in the Masters class, will start from pole. And Joel Johnson, who unfortunately didn't get to complete a lap yesterday, will start next to him in 8th. Dave Musial Jr. is going to be starting from the 9th spot, followed by Nick Schaefer rounding out your top 10, Joey.
Over into 11th is Brandon Hankins, another one of those competitors that competed already today in the USA West Series. He's going to be lined up next to Blake McGovern, starting in 12th place. In 13th, we've got Musafar Gafarov driving the number 200 machine. Lined up next to him, starting in 14th, is going to be Elaine Scalzo in the championship effort. We'll have to keep an eye on him in the Masters class. Jens Hansen is going to be rolling off from 15th. He's going to be looking up to climb the order pretty quickly. Todd Treffert next to him in 16th place. Frank Vitiello is going to be starting from 17th in that bright red 248. Keith McGovern next to him in 18th overall. Dan Ammon going to be rolling off from 19th with that beautiful Mobil 1 livery. And Matt Dusek is hoping to capitalize on today after having a little bit of a down day due to nothing of his fault, starts 20th.
Yep, Scott Neal will be on 21st with the 11th row completed by Bill Finnick in 22nd. And then it is Dave Musial Sr. who starts in 23rd alongside Greg Shermer in 24th position. On down to the next row, Jeff Hinkle is going to be on the inside with Reggie Tartaglione starting in 26th. And then last but not least, Matt Smith in 27th here today. We're on our first pace lap. In fact, it looks like it's just about done. We'll get one more cycling around the circuit, and then Sprint Challenge will be done for the weekend after 35 minutes plus one lap.
It has been an action-packed weekend. It doesn't matter if it was the USA West Series, if it was the Cayman Series that's already completed both of their races, or the GT3 Cup qualifying race number 1, and here we are at race number 2. It has been an intense weekend of racing here at Road America, and I almost feel a little bad saying, yeah, this is the end of the Sprint Challenge after this race in terms of the Road America weekend, but we still have the actual Porsche Endurance Challenge as well that's going to be taking place tomorrow, which a lot of these competitors will be partaking in.
Exactly, and so they're going to want to try and preserve the car if they can so that they can go racing without having that extra work, because we even have a practice session later today for that Endurance Challenge that they'll have to take part in. My big question all of this is this going to be opposite day? Because yesterday it was this series that saw lots of yellows and an interrupted race, as I said before. This morning it was the Caymans that experienced that. So will we get a clean race out of the GT3s? Have they learned their lesson?
Well, we're about to find out. Yeah, right.
That's why we're here.
I think that the GT3 Cup Series provides an awesome amount of cars on the racetrack, but that can also be a little bit hazardous when we get these funnel effects or big-time brake zones. And people can overstep the limits, and sometimes we have those large incidents. And I think somebody looking for an Uno Reverso card on today is probably going to be Carl Stout, right? Danny Dashelski has kind of held the upper hand in terms of the performance from practice, qualifying, and in race number 1. And Carl Stout is not used to finishing in second place. So I think that 243 and Kelly Moss maybe have come up with a little bit of a new game plan now on the other foot. Danny Dashelski carries the confidence into race number 2. He knows he's got the fastest car. He knows that somebody needs to step up to actually beat him here this weekend. It's just, does one of those cars, is it Carl Stout? Is it Matt Siegel? Is it Riley Giacomazzi, who got really racy yesterday, put on a fantastic show? Can any of those drivers step up and beat that orange 252?
I'm glad that you brought up the podium for Carl, because it's the first time he finished on the podium that wasn't a win this season. So it's been a bit all or nothing, but that nothing side of it was only a single race up until yesterday, where Carl Stout finally got beat by Danny. The other drivers that really kind of need some redemption today are going to be Elaine Scalzo, who had a bit of an off, was sent to the back, still managed to finish 10th in class, but that's a big hit in his championship title fight. And then Jens Hansen, who was looking so good until he made a mistake in the carousel.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an uncommon mistake that we saw out of Jens there. And of course, we've documented that he's fresh into these GT3 Cup cars. In the 2026 season, he was really on top of the game in the Cayman Series throughout the entirety of 2025. But when you hop into these GT3 Cup machines and roll off on a near 30-car entry field, it's a little bit of a different ballgame.
Yeah, it is the biggest field that we get all weekend, most of the time here in Sprint Challenge. And today is no exception, as you can see them all lined up, nice packed together. Look at how tightly they are grouped up here as we ride on board with Tony Melito in the number 203. But now we get visual on the group coming up the front stretch towards the flag stand, and the green flag is out. We go racing here in race number 2 for the GT3 Cups. And up towards turn 1. It's a decent start for Dashelski. Not as big of a jump as what we saw yesterday, though.
Oh, and crucially, Stout slides over to the inside line. Can he actually get up alongside Dashelski? He's to the door. He puts Siegel back into third place, and we do have Carl Stout next to each other, door to door with Danny Dashelski. He's going to take the inside line into 3.
He doesn't want to have to deal with the dirty air like he did yesterday. He's trying to get that track position early. He's up to the point. Alex Pratt in a nice little fight with Tony Melito. That is for 5th position back there coming out of turn 3. Look at how much side by side we have. This is going to be wild down into 5.
Big time break zone coming up. You see our 2 leaders, and look at the 4th place car, the bright yellow car. That's Matt Siegel getting to the inside of Riley Giacomazzi, edging him to the outside of the track. And I also think that Alex Pratt is trying to get to the inside of that green machine as well. Oh, a little bit of contact, and Siegel goes spinning to the outside of turn 6.
Oh, and that was Alex Pratt, I think, who made the contact. Tony Melito as well went way wide down at turn 3. Yellow flag at 6 naturally, but I think that car should be able to get going. It was a light touch.
Heartbreak there for Siegel. He looked to have made a great move into turn number 5 and then just kind of got pushed out of the way in turn number 6. We are back green flag in that section that you were just talking about, but it is Carl Stout and that Racing for Children's livery out front.
And that above shot showed how much time Matt lost. His car was that lone dot still coming out of turn 8 as everybody else was well into the carousel. Carl still leads up at the front. Dashelski unable to overtake earlier in the lap to get back by. Meanwhile, Alex Pratt moved up into 3rd as he's being chased down. Blake McGovern's got a battle behind him. Joel Johnson still running this time coming out of Canada Corner as he sits in 2nd in the Masters.
I think I saw that Jens Hansen was already starting to move his way up as well as we jump on board with Brandon Hankins here in the 295 machine. He's actually down in 12th place overall, 10th place in class. I'm not sure if he started that far back, but we're going to go up to the lead. This is what we've been waiting for. Danny Dashelski in the slipstream. Carl Stout going defensive. He's got the inside line. What's going to happen in the short shoot run to 3?
Could get a bit of an over-under here, and I think Carl is wise to that. He immediately covers it off down into the braking zone of turn 3, but once again, he's compromised on the way in, being off the racing line. Will he regret it down the Moraine sweep?
He's already moved drivers left. Now, this Moraine sweep straightaway, it kind of bends to the right and then it bends back to the left, so it kind of gives you multiple angles to approach turn number 5 in a defensive manner. And once again, trying to force Danny Jachelski to go the long way around, slips back onto the racing line.
And car 206, that's Alex Pratt. He's been given incident responsibility, stop plus 30 for that. Now, he just suddenly started slipping down the order. And, he's off at turn 5, taking to the escape road.
Yeah, so I saw damage on the front right, but he seemed to have plenty of pace coming up the front straightaway. And then in turn 1, he seemed to cause a big kind of bottleneck up there. I saw that Riley Giacomazzi was able to get through, but I mean, look at the gap. 2.5 seconds there was a bottleneck in turn 1.
Interesting. And look at the gap now also between Stout and Jachelski. Kind of similar to what we saw yesterday, where they started just scoot away from everybody. They can fight amongst themselves. And Danny is going to be definitely heated up to try and retake that position. I don't think he wants to settle for another second place.
Here are our leaders coming down into Canada Corner. Now, Joe, I noticed from the post-race interviews when you got to talk with Danny Jachelski yesterday, he seemed very, very confident in the speed that he had. And he said, you know what? As long as I knew the car was behind me, I knew he couldn't catch me. However, today is a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, and I imagine he's going to have to rely on all that passing experience from before. He's run some good races here. In fact, one of his best races in my memory was a wet one here at Road America, where he charged to the front and took a win. So Danny Jachelski is going to see if he can do that in the dry this time, making his way past our current championship leader. Not close enough into turn 1 this time, but he is still hot on his heels.
They're both single file on the racing line into turn number 3. They've really kind of been duking it out in this section of the racetrack. So this is the first time they're kind of, call it, into the race rhythm of things. Jachelski still sitting in the slipstream, but I don't see him as close enough. Now, these drivers always surprise me with these huge late lunges. Once again, Carl just kind of picking the middle of the road and then fading back to the racing line on the entry to turn number 5. But that's a little bit wide. That was a tire into the dirt on the exit. Danny Jachelski sees every single bit of that and says, you know what? Carl's using up a lot of racetrack. I'm staying cool, calm, and collected and still on the bumper.
He's putting the pressure on him. We've seen Carl deal with this a time or two before. Sometimes he buckles, sometimes he doesn't. What kind of Carl are we going to get today? Meanwhile, Mark Bowden was overtaken by Tony Melito. I just saw him lose a position to Dave Musial Jr. And we also have another car into the runoff here at turn 5.
I'm not sure which car number, maybe the 219 car. So we'll go ahead and check. That's Greg Shermer a little bit further back. But this is the biggest gap we've seen between P1 and P2. And you were talking about just kind of the fight that Carl Stout can put up. If we draw back a couple months, I believe it was these two really going at it at COTA.
Well, and it was the very first lap that it wound up resulting in a penalty for Carl Stout because he had pushed Danny Jachelski wide. Danny wasn't the one to come home with the win in that situation, but it definitely kind of set the tone for these two, which really are two titans in this car, both incredibly quick and seemingly untouchable in these early stages. Riley Giacomazzi, who's no slouch, is already 2 seconds behind.
Wow, yeah, and I mean, they're resetting fast lap after fast lap, and 211.5, 211.3. Jachelski, a heck of a run going into the brake zone. He's officially door-to-door now. He's got the outside line. He can put the power down. The problem is turn number 3 is a right-hander. That's going to go in favor of the 243. However, I think Danny Jachelski starting to flex a little bit of muscle.
They'll go wheel to wheel once again because a nice run coming out of turn 3 allows Danny to actually get a full nose ahead as they start to approach the brake zone. Could he actually cut across? Yes, he does. He is fully past him as they come down the hill into turn 5. And after he lost it on the first lap, our pole sitter is back to the front, but he gets a hello from Carl.
I'm smiling ear to ear right now because you are right. Oh no, problem for the 211. I believe this is the exit of turn number 3. That is Hinkle, that SCL race engineering machine. He's going to rejoin the racetrack with nobody else coming, so that was okay. But Danny Dashelski out front. Is it going to be a repeat of yesterday? I mean, we've only gone through a handful of corners, and that car seems to have some pace. I noticed, did you see how much top speed it had in comparison?
Yeah, and you know, I did mention he had the cutback, so that may have helped some, but that seemed very, very quick that he managed to get by Carl there. So the Belgian will probably be watching that intently, knowing that we've got one more race coming at the end of the season at Road Atlanta. Another track with a very, very long straightaway. If he's put a little bit too much wing in it, he may want to reconsider for the next round.
That's exactly kind of where my brain goes. I know that when we were testing out a little bit of some wing angles in the Cayman cars, even just a couple degrees on that wing was able to produce 2 or 3 more mile an hour down these long straightaways. And if you've got that car trimmed out and have, call it 4 or 5 mile an hour on the competition and can hang on to it in those situations, it can be an advantage here.
Danny Dashelski, even with that overtake, has reset the fastest lap of the race. I said he was fired up, and yeah, I'd say he is. He is not willing to let Carl continue to have the best of him in this series. Now can he start to run away? Before that, it was Giacomazzi who had the fastest lap, who's also still going very well. He reset his personal best that time by.
I just saw a car go out in front of the screen here that I was going to give a nice shout out to. Jens Hansen has done a terrific job so far in, call it, the first 10 minutes of this race. Remember, I think he rolled off something like 15th overall. He's made his way up into 6th.
Sounds like we might have a replay here of the 211 car. Let's take a look and see what happened to Hinkle coming down into turn 3. A surprisingly difficult turn, but oh man, he was way off the racing line in there.
Just in too deep, maybe got the brake marker mixed up a little bit, and once you carry too much speed, like you said, you're just not going to get it down to the apex.
There's just a little bit of a kink, which is technically turn 2 on this track, and it does make the entry kind of deceptive into that corner. Now, Elaine Scalzo, currently sitting 3rd in the Masters class, is trying to get up to Joel Johnson and see if he could take some of those points, because he's already lost a chunk with yesterday's race up to the man who is leading this one, Mark Bowden. Now, I mentioned that Mark lost a couple spots, but he seems to have stopped some of that and is still remaining in 7th. I do also want to give a quick shout to Jens Hansen, who overtook another position over Mark and moves to 6th overall.
So, talking about Elaine Scalzo here that we've got on screen, he is chasing Todd Treffert. These are both Masters class cars, and crucially, it is for the final spot on that Masters class podium. Right now, Todd hangs on to 3rd. Elaine Scalzo sitting here in 4th place. And like you had mentioned, I think that Elaine is looking for a little bit of redemption after yesterday. I think he just got it a little bit in too deep in the turn 5 area, went skipping through the gravel, and then eventually we had to see the car hit pit road as well, fix up the splitter and whatnot. So as long as he keeps it right on the racing line, I think he is going to be one to threaten this podium today.
He only got about 7 minutes of racing as well to try and get up to the front with so much yellow flag during that. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side of the screen, we've got Dave Musial 2.0 there inside the car. Trying to keep this top 5 position over Jens Hansen, who's only a half second behind. This is Mark Bowden with Blake McGovern. Blake is not in that Masters class, so he could let him by, but since he's already lost a number of positions, I think at some point he's got to say, no, I got to hold this down.
This is the rundown into what is turn number 5. Pretty close on the exit between those two cars. I believe that was Musial and Hansen just in front, and then this is the Bowden-McGovern battle. So it's almost like we've kind of got 4 cars, 2 packs of 2, and then here comes the 240 that you were talking about.
With Blake going way wide, coming off of turn 6 there. I think that cost him some ground. Yeah, you can see how much wider it is compared to what it looked like coming out of turn number 5. He'll try and make that back up here on the latter half of the course, plunging down through the carousel portion of the lap. He could get a nice little toe off of that car ahead if he just sticks with him, coming down the back straightaway up towards the kink. Everybody trying to hit their marks into this narrow part of the circuit. Both of them perfect through there.
And now it's just up to the run into Canada corner. Who's going to be more confident on the brake pedal here? You see it kind of straighten out, and after that left-hand kink there, ooh, that was in pretty deep from the Fall Line Motorsports machine. And once again, just inching ever closer to that back bumper is going to be Blake McGovern. Oh, good three-pack directly behind developing.
Yeah, with Joel Johnson, Nick Schaefer is in there. That's looking like it's going to be fun. Here is Brandon Hankins' perspective. He's just behind Nick Schaefer as they come up the hill. A great job by Brandon so far, back to where he started overall after recovering from a position lost at the beginning of the race. But now, as they approach turn one, doesn't look like he has a straight line speed. Schaefer's quick, though.
He's going to look down to the inside, room being given into the brake zone. That's what every driver wants to see, is that when you do make those late lunges, nobody's closing the door on you. So great heads up there from all of the drivers. And now it's going to be Brandon Hankins' turn to try to get past Joel Johnson.
This is not what Joel was looking for. He was trying to chase down Mark Bowden, had cut it down to only being split by Blake McGovern. Now he has two cars between himself and his class leader. In fact, there we just saw that class leader, and it's going to be another car potentially, because Brandon Hankins with a decisive move down into turn 5.
Confident on the brakes was the 295 car, and now we're going to ride on board this fantastic overhead drone here. See how much Brandon Hankins can try to run away from the car that he just passed. And Joel Johnson needs to put a little bit of a stop to the bleeding right now, because he doesn't have very many cars between himself and Todd Treffert, who is going to be approaching the back bumper.
That's a good point here. Right now it's only Gafarov between the pair of them. So another of our Pro-Ams mixed in. Remember, these cars are all the same between those two classes. It is down to just driver classification that differentiates them out on the track. Meanwhile, we head on over to the 231 of Dave Musial Jr., who's having a pretty good day here in the top 5.
Right now, what's giving chase is Jens Hansen on the back of Dave Musial. I think that this is Mark Bowden. Still being given chase is Blake McGovern directly behind, and they've actually built themselves a little bit of a nice buffer, about 3.5 seconds I see back to Nick Schaefer, and then of course Brandon Hankins directly behind that as well, chasing down Nick Schaefer in the 282.
Yeah, coming up off of turn 14 onto the main straight once again. There is Musial. And we got an incident at turn 11 with a quick yellow flag. Didn't quite see. Oh, excuse me, that's 264. I think that is a little bit farther down. So that is the car of Scott Neal having an issue at Canada corner, going contra to the track, and finally gets it going just as another car starts to come along. That was a little bit sketch. Thankfully, he was able to get it going without incident as we come back to our front runners. There's Joel Johnson still trying to give chase. So we watch them come up towards turn 6. Jens Hansen trying to make up for yesterday. Looks like he has indeed caught Dave Musial Jr.
Yes, he's right on the back bumper of that 231 right now, or I should say close to the back bumper of the 231. I think that this is just a little bit further back. I think that this is the 200 of Gafarov chasing Todd Treffert right now, and he's kind of playing as a little bit of a blocker in terms of the Masters class battle, because Elaine Scalzo is just behind Gafarov, and that's really the car that's trying to go and catch Todd Treffert.
It's going to be an important one. Gafarov doing much, much better today. He kind of was just an unfortunate victim yesterday, looking to avoid an incident with Joel Johnson. Didn't really get to show what he's got underneath him. And so far, so good. Still has about half the race left to go. Now as we turn over to Blake McGovern, trying to get past on Bowden. Is he going to be able to do it here down in Canada corner? Bowden runs wide around the outside, carries the momentum well, and will remain ahead in that 7th overall position, continuing to fluster Blake McGovern. We have a special guest in the booth with us, Victoria Thomas of Kelly Moss Racing. Welcome back. Glad to have you again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always great to be here at our home track.
Well, you guys obviously do a lot of work, not just in racing, but outside of that as well in charity. And we've talked about that a lot with Racing for Children on Carl's car. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it's really wonderful because we have great representation from the program here and our affiliation for the Racing for Children's program to be able to bring hope and also to raise awareness and some dollars to help these kids that are dealing with cancer and blood disorders is something that really elevates our mission as a team.
It seems like Kelly Moss in general has been expanding and just placing themselves all over the motorsport scene. What new is coming up for you guys?
Well, we're excited to be able to be here this weekend. We have 25 people from Porsche Club of America's Wisconsin region, the central Wisconsin region, which is really special. I would have loved to have been in hospitality and get to hear them when Carl made his pass, and I'm really hopeful that we'll get the chance to have him do that once again for us.
Yeah, he's still hanging on. He's about 2.5 seconds back. Also on screen, we did see that Blake McGovern got by Bowden. In the meantime, got a nice little battle down here with Musial Sr. going side by side with the 273 into turn 6. Looks like he has got that done over the 274. We're coming towards the end of 2026, Victoria. Are there any plans going into 2027 that you could let us know about?
Boy, there's lots of plans, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to say too very much.
Yeah.
But for sure, we're not thinking smaller at all. We have again here this weekend we got to be able to let some of our partners like SVA come and experience the joy of racing, which is really fun. Our mission is always to expand the fan base, and the more people we get here at the track to see how amazing it is, the better. So we really appreciate the partnerships with the programs.
Well, we love having you up here and, wishing the best for your drivers. You're welcome to stick around if you want. Joey, did you have anything?
No, I just didn't know if there was anything special that you guys wanted to mention or anything you guys are doing this weekend or anything like that, because we don't always get you up here in the commentary booth, so it's a pleasure to have you here, and I just want to make sure that it's worth your time.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, as you can tell, I'm quite hoarse from screaming from the last race. There's a lot of redemption here for us. I'll tell you, IMSA weekend, we crashed out about 5 cars, so it's nice that we could put on a great show for people this particular weekend. But yeah, it's always a joy to be here, and particularly this program where you really allow people such an immersive experience. So we really appreciate it, and we do really have some extraordinarily exciting things happening next year, and as soon as we can let the cat out of the bag, you guys will be the first to know.
We'll be patient until then. Like Joey likes to say, there's not always highs in racing. There's definitely plenty of lows, so you just kind of have to take that as it comes. So far, still looking at a potential double podium here for Carl up at the top. Right now on screen, we've got Dave Musial 2.0 coming in there and trying to see if he can hold on to that 5th place. Still trying to keep Jens Hansen off of that rear bumper. Joel Johnson now, as we jump a little bit farther back, has got a little bit of company, unfortunately. I think that is Todd Treffert, which is currently 3rd in class. Todd with a podium last time by, trying to see if he can do one better, not just finish 3rd, but take a 2nd place here in the Masters with a great race so far.
This is coming out of the carousel and headed into the kink here. Cars are just trying to roll as much speed as they possibly can through this section of the racetrack and heading down into Canada corner right now. One of our biggest brake zones on the racetrack. There you see a shot of Elaine Scalzo. I was hoping that orange and blue 222 machine. Oh no, we've had an incident at the top of turn number 6. This is the 264 and the 211 machine. We've talked about turn 6 quite a bit this weekend, and look at the left rear on the 211. Heavy damage on that one. And here comes more cars up and through with the car parked perpendicular. You just hope the 264 can move out of the way soon.
Yeah, that 211 is Hinkle. The 64 is Neal. Neal's car looks in a little bit better shape, at least from what we've seen.
I think that the left rear is also broken on the car that just pulled out. I mean, look at how it's driving.
Yeah, the 211 absolutely, unfortunately, is got some damage. He pulls it up. Could he maybe get in reverse and back it into that gap, or else we're going to have to get a safety car out?
We'll just patiently wait. I think that it is in a safe enough position that a local yellow can be displayed. Oh, this is Frank Vitiello getting his elbows out to the inside of what I see as the 266. And then also Dan Ammon, that's that Mobile 1 livery right there, also getting pretty racy. And I believe that's Dave Musial Sr., the 4th car. And there is exactly what you were looking for. The car backing up into the gap.
Love the sportsmanship out here. The drivers don't want to compromise everybody else's race and their good time. So great job by Hinkle to get that tucked out of the way. In the meantime, this 4-way battle, almost a 5-way battle. Look at who's coming to join. Is that Matt Smith back there?
I'll try to grab the car number as it goes by one of our cameras. I know that Frank had a fantastic qualifying run earlier on in the weekend, and he's looking to try to translate that into some results. Dan Ammon right in the middle of the racetrack there, going into turn number 8, a little bit of a defensive line, trying to dissuade Musial back there from making any sort of lunge. And now it's up to these drivers to just absolutely balance this car to get the most amount of turn that they can, as well as putting the power down. Is this Jens Hansen? I think that this is the other car that was involved. Yeah, Joe, this car is still broken on the left side, but he's trying to limp it around. He just has to be aware of what's coming up.
That looks like a flat to me. Sounds like we also have a replay of that incident, so we could try to figure out what put them in that compromising position. Neither car got away scot-free on that one. This is on board Hinkle. This was the blue and white machine. He's clearly in the front at first. Oh, little bit of contact between them, and then up into turn 6. Oh, the lightest of touches turns them both around, and he clips.
Well, and you saw the hands go up. I think that Hinkle felt that he was squeezed off of the racetrack, and I wouldn't be surprised if even that lightest of touches took some air out of that right rear, and then coupled with nudging him up and over the hill, you just can't push a car out of the way and then not take avoiding action when he spins.
I can confirm, by the way, that is Matt Smith at the back of this quintet, and up at the front of it, Frank Vitiello, leading a bunch of hungry cars ready to try and overtake him. He's got to last for about 10 more minutes to try and get himself a nice finish today. And thankfully, Neal has been able to bring it back of his own power to pit lane.
So we go running down to this big time brake zone right here, slightly downhill. Hard on that brake pedal pressure, as deep as you can possibly take it. And these cars look pretty even. Oh, a little bit wide from that second car in line, and Dan Ammon actually lifts up out of the gas. That allows the outside for Dave Musial Sr. He doesn't need an invitation more than that. He says, thank you very much for the position.
Smith very close to getting in there as well. Thought about it out of turn 6, but could not get the overlap he needed. Now he has to wait once again as he also closes under braking on Dan Ammon, who is not done with his action.
All these cars are pretty even through this long right-hander here. You get on the gas, use up all of that exit curb. That's okay if you're driving outside of that yellow and red curb. It's not like it's an off-limits or a track, call it violation. It's just out there for the drivers to really extend the end of the corner and get on the gas even sooner, which provides you even more top speed by the time you get down right here.
Certainly has the implications of something brewing. In fact, Matt Smith, he wanted that inside coming up to Bill Mitchell Bend. I don't know if maybe Dan didn't see him, but it looked like Matt had to maybe back out pretty quickly.
I'm in complete agreement with you, and I think the odd part is that Dan Ammon was up in that fight, and there's been several kind of, call it maybe a little bit of a bobble, and I'm actually getting a yellow flag warning somewhere on the racetrack right now.
That's turn 2. That is Joel Johnson. His bad luck this season further continued. He's stopped here to the outside of this corner. We should be able to see cars slowing, maybe because of him. And did he get going? I'm showing him still stationary. Now he's moving somewhere. Musial may have to hand that position back, though.
Well, and that was Frank Vitiello. He thought it was a full course yellow, but it's just a local yellow flag. So Musial just went by several cars, and I'm sure that race control will be looking, hey, was that a pass under yellow? Were other people slowing down for a potential incident and somebody didn't notice?
Matt Smith also taking advantage of it. He's moving up the order. The 265 pinch down to the inside gives Dan Emma a little bit of a hip check.
I think I also see maybe a little bit of damage on the back end of that 265 as well. So I think this group of drivers, they might have had a little bit of some energy drinks before getting in these cars.
Boy, did they. They've been giving us a lot of fun. We still got 6 minutes left to go, so this one is not over yet. Thankfully, Johnson, I can report, is moving and on his way. So whatever happened to the car has not been completely stricken, but he's lost so much time. Todd Treffert gets promoted up to second, and Scalzo is on the podium.
That's what I was just about to mention. He's gone from fourth up to third. Now, I guess the only downside of it is that Mark Bowden, the championship leader in class, is still leading right now here at Road America. So Scalzo doing what he needs to do, but same with Mark Bowden.
Looks like race control agrees with you on that incident into turn 6. Hinkle been given a incident responsibility stop plus 30 for his tussle with Scott Neal, so he'll have to serve that pretty shortly here, or else it'll be automatically added to his time at the end of the race. Meanwhile, what was a 5-car fight is split off into 2 versus 3.
I think my bigger question, I know that we always get the penalties, and guys have to come and serve them and whatnot, but question still lays in the back of my mind. That 206 car of Alex Pratty seemed to be on pace after our initial incident. If we draw back to the West race, a little bit of a similar incident, and he just kind of fell off of the back of the pack, and it was just kind of a question mark over there of why he pulled it off of the racetrack after having that incident of running people over.
Yeah, and he was, as the 214 is turned around. Is that Treffert? Yes, it is. Todd Treffert could be losing second place, and Scalzo would be promoted up to P2. He's having trouble finding the room to get it turned around.
And this is a very, very bad spot to be in as a driver. You cannot see around the left side of turn number 5. He can't keep going forward. You see the tire barrier there, so he physically has to back it up onto the racetrack. And what's more scary than backing up into an area that you can't see?
It is clear now. There's nobody behind him. Hopefully he gets it going, but maybe he's just having a moment to get the car into gear and turned away. I really hope we don't go full course yellow, because that would effectively end the race at this stage. Joel Johnson apparently is there. Finally, the 214.
Yeah, but full course yellow. It was just, it's frustrating to see this happen. However, it is out of the hands of the drivers most of the time. They're trying to get the car backed up. If it's stalled, they're trying to get it refired. However, race control can only wait so long while the car is stationary, and it just so happened that as soon as we put out the full course yellow, Treffert was able to get the car moving.
There's our leader, Dushelski. Is that the safety car, or is that a lapped car? I think that's a lapped car that we just saw. So they didn't even get picked up by the safety car, I think, when that yellow came out. I'm curious to know if they need to wait to be picked up, or if they would procedurally be allowed to send them back racing by the time they get around.
I'll have to read the regulations on that.
That's one where we kind of need the control F feature there, because that is a bit of an odd one, as they are at least slowed up. They are requested to ease up out on track so that they're not full pace, and thankfully
Joe, let me go ahead and ask Athena, see what she can go ahead and tell me out of this.
All right, we'll have Joey see if he can dig some of that info up, but we slow down. I do want to say, if we get this restarted, this could be what Carl Stout needed. He had fallen off to more than 4 seconds behind Dyshelski, and a one-lap sprint to the finish would give Carl the chance to maybe try to sneak the win away.
So here's the thing. You can't restart the race without having the safety car out there, simply because the pack at the back doesn't know if we're restarting, right? The whole point of having the safety car out there is that they have the lights on to identify we are under a full course yellow. And then we turn them off to tell the field, hey, we're going back racing. But without that signal out there, plain and simple, nobody knows if we are going back racing. Now, everybody's in communication on the radio with their team, and that can always be passed along. However, that's not an official form of communication to say, hey, we're going back racing.
Here's the one thing I can say on this. Remember, it's plus 1 lap in this series. If they get to the line before it hits 0, that means it's 2 laps to go, which at that point, they could be picked up by the safety car, and we could have a 1-lap sprint to the finish.
And I think that Danny Dyshelski's doing the right thing right here. He has slowed him down all the way to, call it, the safety car speed. Everybody's aware that we're under full course yellow, and we should, to your point, be able to get back to the start-finish line in the next minute 20 seconds, get picked up by the safety car, and potentially just immediately go lights out.
And I wonder if that was part of the reason Danny was so eager to slow it down to that safety car speed, maybe hoping we could get this thing to end 1 lap less.
I'm completely wrong.
Oh, wow, we are going back racing. Interesting. So we do not need the safety car. And unfortunately for Carl Stout, Dyshelski was on it immediately. He got that one on the gas right as Carl Stout was not paying attention, and he's lost a gap of a couple lengths by the time they get to turn 1.
Well, folks, throw everything I said out the window. I think that race control is thinking on their feet and did the right thing to get us going back green flag racing. This is a door-to-door moment a little bit further back in the pack. I believe that's McGovern on the inside.
It is indeed, as he fights with Nick Schaefer. Nick's going to come out ahead with that 7th place. They've actually fallen behind Jens Hansen, who is all the way up into 6th position.
And you know who's joined the front pack from that restart? Matt Siegel has breathed new life into the race. He is there in front of Elaine Scalzo.
How in the world? He has used this yellow to great effect. It has saved his race effectively, because now he's got a chance to make up a couple positions right at the very end of this race. Meanwhile, Carl Stout has been overtaken by Riley Giacomazzi. We are seeing the 296 is registered as P2.
I see that as well. He must have snuck by on the inside of maybe turn number 8. Turn number 7 is such a high-speed right-hander, but Riley Giacomazzi flexing what I call racecraft, right? The same thing that he did yesterday. They were duking it out in front of him, and Riley took advantage.
I'm afraid if Matt Siegel is feeling lucky, that feeling is going to go away. He has been given incident responsibility, and it is post-race time equivalent of plus 20 seconds. 226 pass under yellow, drive-through penalty.
And the 226, trying to find here.
That's Musial. That's Musial Sr.
That's the incident that we were riding on board with.
So we were right that they took a dim view of that while the 227 was off track. Yes, the cars ahead slowed maybe a bit more than they should have, but he still overtook under the yellow. White flag is out for Danny Dyshelski. This is it. 1 lap to go, and he can make it back-to-back wins this weekend.
I think the question mark in my brain is, where was the contact from Siegel? That must have been the Treffert incident.
I would think so, yeah. It took a long time, but they did eventually get that one out, and with that yellow, now it's completely flip-flopped on him. Instead of helping him, it's going to send him way far back with everybody bunched up. In the meantime, we're watching Carl Stout. He might not be able to take the win on this one, but he is intent on getting P2 back.
look towards that turn number 5 brake zone. That's going to be a great opportunity. He is close enough, but Riley right in the middle of the road doing exactly what he needs to do. Can the over-under happen on the short shoot up to 6? Riley is able to pull it out. It's almost the same thing that we saw when Carl was battling Danny. It seems like this 243 just doesn't have the motor on the straight line in comparison to his competition. Look, even right here, Riley pulling it out.
Yeah, starting to see what we've often seen with some cars who lead very easily, but you put them back in the pack and suddenly it's a different story. Carl just struggling today and this weekend in general to find pace compared to some of his competitors, especially when he is not up at the front. He's still trying his best. He is within arm's reach if he wants to try and overtake for that second position. The good news is we think that potentially even a third place could still clinch the title for him today.
Oh man, talk about an up and down race. Yesterday was a little bit easier in terms of being able to figure out what's going on with the incidents, but man, it a little bit unraveled towards the end here today. We got the restart, and one thing is for sure, Danny Deshelski still looks to be the fastest out of anybody.
It could have been a nerve-wracking moment when that full course yellow came out, knowing that restart could throw things away from him, but he did not let it faze him. He has come away shining today as he wins his second race of the season here at Road America.
Riley Giacomazzi will hang on to second place in Pro-Am. Now we wait for Mark Bowden. There he goes. He will win in the GT3 Cup Masters class. Woo! Talk about a fast and frantic 35 minutes plus a lap that we had here. And I do apologize for thinking that we weren't going to get back going, but terrific job from everybody at Race Control to be able to translate everything, be able to convey the information to say, hey, we are going back green flag racing, and we got a nice 2-lap sprint there at the very end of things. I think we're waiting on just a couple more cars here. I see HM Road Racing with Reggie Tartaglione, as well as the 227, I believe, of Joel Johnson is going to be coming up the hill here. So as soon as they cross the line and we officially get everybody completing today's race, we'll go ahead and get our official results up on screen. I believe we'll go ahead and take a look at our Pro-Am winner, Danny Deshelski here. Tell you what, Carl Stout got the best of him on those initial couple laps, but then Danny was able to use the slipstream, use the racecraft, get back by, and hang on to the lead ever since then. And then Riley Giacomazzi, late in the race on that restart, was able to claim second place. Carl Stout slips down to what is third, but will be on the podium. Tony Melito going to finish in fourth, with Dave Musial Jr. going to finish inside the top 5. Jens Hansen with a fantastic recovery effort after starting much further down in the field. He's going to finish 6th overall. Nick Schaefer 7th, Blake McGovern 8th, Brandon Hankins in 9th, Musfar Gafarov in 10th. Matt Siegel will drop down to what is 11th place overall after that 20-second penalty. And then, unfortunately, Alex Pratt had the incident on lap number 1. He will be classified in 12th place, but did not finish today's race. Over to the GT3 Cup Masters. Mark Bowden makes it 2 for 2 in terms of victories here at Road America in the Sprint Challenge. Elaine Scalzo does exactly what he needs to do in terms of the championship effort, trying to keep it close. He moves up into second place in class. Matt Smith with a great run is going to round out the podium in third. Keith McGovern in fourth, with Bill Fennick finishing in fifth. Dan Ammon in sixth with Frank Vitiello, seventh. Todd Treffer going to finish in eighth with Dave Musial back here in ninth. And Reggie Tartaglione is going to finish 10th in class. There's a few more cars out there. Joel Johnson is actually going to finish a lap down in 11th. And then, unfortunately for Neil, Hinkle and Dusek, they did not complete today's race. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up Sprint Challenge Racing, but please, we've got our podium celebrations and also our victory winner interviews that are going to be brought to you here momentarily. I already see that Danny Dashelski has parked his bright orange number 252 in pit lane. He's going to go ahead, climb out of the car, and he's already got fans cheering him on out there. Let him take off his gloves. I mean, he's going to add to the winner stickers. I mean, look at how many winner stickers are on the pillar of that car, and he is going to add yet another one in the shape of Road America this time. Let him take off all of his safety gear, his balaclava, and I mean, it just looks like he hopped out of the gym for a nice casual workout, and now he's standing by with Joe Peak.
We've got Danny with us fresh out of the car. Danny, we saw that great battle with Carl at the beginning, but it looked like you had slightly better top end speed. Was that your same takeaway?
I'm not exactly sure. It's hard to tell if it was just draft or the top end speed, but once he got around me on the start with a very good move, it was just about making sure I could focus on my exits, and I was able to put myself in a really good position, and it made the pass very easy.
And of course, we got that late yellow flag. What was going through your head when that came out? Was there any nerves on that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, that's pretty much the last thing you want in that situation that I had, but I was able to get a really good restart, and it pretty much ended exactly how it was before the yellow.
Just about a perfect weekend this weekend. Congratulations on the wins.
Thank you.
All right, let's head back to Joey. We'll get our other winners here in a second.
Get some shots here of some recovery efforts that are going on to grab the 211 outside of what was turn number 6. I want to give a huge shout out to that driver of Jeff Hinkle. He was able to pull the car back through the break in the wall. And I know it's not the end of the race that he was looking for, but it's a very gentlemanly maneuver to not affect the race for anybody else. So props to Jeff out there for getting his car back, and now they're going to bring it back to the paddock. And I believe Joe Peak is going to be finding the driver of our championship leading effort right now from Fall Line Motorsports. That is Mark Bowden. He won yesterday. He also won today. I think the only difference is that Elaine Scalzo finished in second place in the Masters, so he's trying to keep the championship points alive right now, but Mark Bowden is doing everything right on the racetrack, and he's standing by with Joe Peak.
We've got Mark Bowden. Mark, at the start of the race, things looked a little iffy. We noticed you drop in a few positions. Were you worried about that with them not being in your class?
No, I was kind of managing, making sure that it didn't get too spicy, and saying, should I let this guy go? And you know, just giving us a position where nobody had to do anything stupid.
Well, speaking of things getting spicy, did you notice any of what was happening behind you in the Masters class? Because we saw the podium behind you change.
At the end, I heard at the end they didn't give me updates throughout, but I heard it was a little chaotic. So I'm glad to be where I was. I only got hit twice this time. Yesterday was once. Today was twice. So I was just looking at my guys. Everything we just replaced, brand new, we got to replace again.
Well, I guess the one thing you can take away is you still came away with 2 wins. You got to still take that as a positive weekend.
Yeah, it's a great to be here. This is home for us. I live 2 hours south of here, and this is the most fantastic facility in motorsports, and love coming up here and seeing how Road America just improves every year. The whole experience, the track, everything. Big thanks to USAC and Porsche for putting on a great series, and Yokohama for a great tire, and all the competitors for making this so much fun. This is a lot of fun, especially for old guys like me.
Well, you guys make it fun for us to watch. Congratulations. Enjoy the win. That was Mark Bowden of the Masters class winning race 2. And while that is it for our Sprint Challenge racing for the weekend, Porsche Endurance Challenge takes place tomorrow. Tune in here at Road America.